So as far back as I can remember, I've played a game in my head everywhere I go. Maybe it's more of a mental exercise, but I've always just thought of it as a game. Here's how the game works. When you enter a room, the goal is to quickly find a space in the room that is not perpendicular with any flat surfaces, excluding the walls, floor, and ceiling. For example, if this is a room and this rectangle is a table, this space would be safe, but this space would not be. In my mind, I always imagined laser beams or something shooting out of all the flat surfaces, so yeah, everywhere I go, furniture is trying to kill me. I started by making a rectangle that would spawn with a random position, size, and orientation. It seemed to work because, well, it did. I mean, it's really not that complicated. I also made another shape, this default Godot logo for now, which would turn into a circle later. This would represent the player, and I coded it to follow the mouse position. So I gave each of the rectangles a collision area and extended them out past the screen size in both the X and Y axis. This was to help me out in the prototyping stage, just so I could make sure the game was going to be at least a little fun, although I kind of felt like it wasn't going to be too boring because I literally play this every single day, so it can't be that bad, right? Honestly, hard to tell. Anyway, I then created a game manager which controlled the rounds and gave it a difficulty value which could increase the number of shapes that spawn in each round. Then for testing purposes, I made the player change color based on if it was overlapping with the currently invisible laser beams, and it was at this point that I discovered a few issues with the game design. Each level, the difficulty will increase by adding an additional shape, and potentially there will be no safe space for the player to go to. So I limited the maximum difficulty to 10, and I also created an invisible area slightly larger than the player shape that would spawn at a random location before any of the shapes appear. Then, when a shape spawns, it would detect if its beam overlaps with the safe space. If so, the shape would delete itself, but right before tell the game manager to spawn a new shape. Basically, each shape would re-roll if there was anything wrong with its positioning that would cause the player to not have a win condition. And as soon as I started to pat myself in the back for solving that problem, mid-pat, I realized another issue. If a small shape were to spawn on top of a larger shape, there was no way to tell, and you could lose a round unfairly. At first, I considered changing the z-index based on size and adjust the color of the smaller shape. That way the smaller shape would appear on top of the larger one, but I found it was easier to just add some detection that would also trigger a reroll if spawned on top of an already existing shape. This took a bit of clever thinking though, because I didn't want both shapes to reroll, otherwise the program will be working way too hard and potentially destroy all the potato computers out there. So here's what I came up with. To spawn the shapes in the first place, I have a code loop that creates the shapes one at a time, just really fast, and plops them in as children of a node, kind of like a list. So when two shapes overlap, they both look at their position in the list. If you are higher in the list, you stay. If you are lower in the list, you re-roll. Not very complex, but increases the game's performance quite a bit. I had a timer that would show how long you had to find a safe location, but I decided to scrap it because in my opinion, the less UI you have, the better. And the laser beams themselves were just sprites with collision areas that will expand on either the X or Y axis. This way I could have each shape shoot its laser one at a time, and if the player was hit, any animations that would take place would only happen when actual contact was made. I let a few people playtest it and did a little bit of balancing before making it look fancy. I actually had a pretty difficult time deciding how I was going to dress this game up. I tried several things out but settled on the squares and background just being solid colors. And it didn't really work until I added some lights, and the glow of the glass sphere combined with the lights from the beams gave it a very pleasing aesthetic. And I decided on the glass sphere for the player in the hopes that this would make the player feel like they are protecting something. So I animated a little blue electric light to sit in the middle, and when the glass breaks, the light would die, communicating clearly to the player what the goal was. I wanted the glass sphere to look cool, so I gave it a normal map, which is a way for 2D sprites to appear to react to light in a 3D way. And I even gave each of the individual shattered pieces of the sphere a normal map as well. Doing this did make me question my sanity just a little bit, and I'm not even sure how much it added to the visual effect. But since I've never added normal maps to an actual game element before, the experience made it well worth it to me. Plus, I think it looks pretty dope. After I got it looking nice, I went on freesound.org and found a bunch of stuff to mess around with until I had the sounds that I was looking for, or hearing for. I was also going to add some music, but with the sounds I picked, I didn't feel like I really needed it. Now it was time to playtest some more, so I called up my fellow game dev content creator Fairlii and asked him to check it out.
Okay, so I got the game booted up here. This is my first time trying it, and let's just play. We're gonna go full screen. We're just gonna play this and just give our first impressions. Insight by Artindi. Okay, what are these? Hello? Hi. Okay, those kill you, if you're wondering. Those things kill you. Score 1. Oh, and the pieces come back together. That's sick. Okay, so you just avoid these. So how do I know which direction it's gonna go? Okay, it goes out in both sides. Oh man. All right, I see what's going on here. Don't know which one is gonna go first, but I guess that's the scary part. I see what's happening here. Where do I go? Don't go there, okay? Don't go there. Okay, 3. 3 so far is my best score. I'm awful at this game, apparently. This is really cool, but I'm terrible at it. The thing is, you have to like think about what direction they're gonna go in. That's not what I'm thinking. I'm just going off pure instincts and just putting my mouse somewhere and then just, that's it. Okay, that was really fun. I actually really enjoyed that. That was good. I didn't really find any bugs, so to speak. I thought it was really fun. I think I'm bad at games like this, but I thought it was really cool. I like when the pieces come back together when you restart the round. That's really awesome, and I think Artindi, you did a good job.
By the way, Fairlii just started his Kickstarter pre-launch for his game called Jelly World. He makes some very enjoyable content and is an awesome member of the community. So be sure to check out his channel and his Kickstarter. The link is in the description. So after all the feedback, I fixed what I could and the game was done. I put it up on itch.io to be played in the browser. It is up there right now, so you can go play with it. If you think that you can score higher than Fairlii, which, let's be honest, you probably can, then go try it out. And if you think that you can score higher than me, which, let's be honest, you probably can't, then go try it out. It's free and you can just play it in the browser. No download needed. However, as far as scores go, I probably have an unfair advantage over you, because I literally play this game daily. Everywhere I go. All the time. It never ends.